Hello and welcome. I'm Jennifer Shlomovich, and I help busy women simplify plant based living so they can improve their health, save time, and feel supported, even if their family isn't on board. Here on the Confident Vegan channel, you'll find insightful interviews with inspiring vegans, practical tips for plant based living, and empowering conversations about what it really means to live in alignment with your values. I am also the co host of that vegan morning show with Kimberly Winters from the Did You Bring the Hummus podcast. You can start the day, you can start your day the vegan way and watch us live every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern on YouTube at That Vegan Morning Show. Today, I am going to talk about ethical travel with my special guest, Donna Zeigfinger. Donna is a trailblazer in the travel industry. With over 3 decades of travel industry experience, she recognized the need for more conscious, compassionate travel options, which led her to create Green Earth Travel in 1997. Green Earth Travel provides comprehensive vegan travel planning and consulting and focuses on destinations that make a difference and helping clients craft travel experiences that are kind to animals, the planet, and local communities. Welcome, Donna.
Hi, how are you?
It's nice to see you. Thanks for joining
Yes,
me today.
I missed the group, the vegan travel tribe. You
Oh, the
know,
Vegan Business Tribe.
yeah, the
Yeah.
vegan business tribe.
Yeah,
It's
and
good to
that's how
see
we
you.
met.
Yeah,
It's such a great group and met so many incredible people on
yeah.
there. And I'm so glad that I got to connect with you. And I've been wanting to talk about traveling as a vegan, and there's so many different aspects to that that go beyond the food, which we're going to
Right.
talk about in a moment. But first, can you share your vegan story?
So my vegan story goes back to 1983, and I I don't know. Let's see. Let's talk. How did I get started on this? So I worked at an animal shelter, and I don't know if you know who this is, but she was working at the animal shelter with me at that time. Ingrid Newkirk. She's the director, president of PETA.
Oh, okay.
So she is the one who she was working in the Department of Health and Human Services at the DC Animal Control, and I had heard about her before, and I think I went to hear her speak once before, but it didn't really sink in. So I worked at the shelter for about a year and a half, and she would throw all this stuff on my desk, and I'd be like, I don't want to see it, circuses, whatever. And then
Mm-hmm.
I ended up working at another shelter like for about 2 years, maybe three. And there was a rally going on, at March for the Animals. It was the original. No, it wasn't March for the Animals. It was just a rally, and I can't remember who it was that was speaking. But it was there that I decided to go vegan. So I didn't go vegetarian. I didn't like drop things off. I just went strict vegan in 1983.
Wow.
And let me tell you, things have changed a lot for the better. It's amazing what has been happening here. Um, so after working at the shelter, I decided my second love, besides animals and music, was travel. So I decided to become a travel agent. I went to school for it, and then I interned at a travel agency for a couple weeks. They took me on, and I just started doing corporate travel and vacation travel. I always like that combination because vacation is kind of nicer and calmer, and corporate is like, you have to get
Mhm.
it done, and you can't make. Anyway, so I'm just doing vacation travel now. I was doing that for a while. And back then, people were actually very good about loyalty. They didn't have the internet. They were recommended by somebody. That's how I got my business, was word of mouth. And it still goes on, but it's a lot harder now. So um, I had a lot of my friends use my services that were vegan. And then I changed to another travel agency, and I heard that there was going to be a March for the Animals. This was actually the first March for the Animals. I think there was like 30,000 people there. And I approached the person who was heading this march, and we actually became good friends afterwards. And it's Peter Gerard was his name, and I approached him and he said, "Yeah, let's do something." So I became the official travel agency for this March for the Animals. So that was my first like foot in, and that was like 1989, I want to say. It was before I met my husband. So I booked something like 15 or 20 hotels. I even booked a campground. I booked a couple of people coming on a bus. I booked their bus for them. I booked all their airline tickets. Needless to say, I was a stress mess, but it actually helped build my business and what I was looking to do at that time. But I was still working for a travel agency. So, and there was two of them that I did, but the first one was the main one. That was the real strong one. And then going head forward to 1994. The Washington Post they wanted to do an article about vegan travel, which was unheard of back then, you know. So they did this article, and I think the article came out while I was away on my honeymoon. So I come back and there's like 30 phone calls, you know. Back then it was phone calls that I had to return because they all read this. And then the following year, Vegetarian Times did an article. So it was like one after the other. And these people would hold on to articles for years. You know, they'd have this little, I don't know if you ever did that, but I would like cut articles out sometimes and keep them forever,
Yeah,
you
like
know?
with
So,
specific information on it that
right,
you wanted to hold on to.
right. So, I gained a lot of loyal clients at that time, and word of mouth was, coming around as well. And so that's really how I started. It was July of 1997. So it was actually August 1st. So we have an anniversary. How many years is that? 23? No,
20, that's
28, 28 years.
20. Oh my goodness, 20. I graduated high school in 1997, so
You're a
realizing that that's
baby.
28 years ago.
You're a baby. Anyway, yeah, I just had my 50th high school reunion last year,
Oh, wow,
so I
nice.
feel old now that you said that.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
so that's really how it started. You know, I had to go out on my own at that point. I could not do the regular travel and handle my clients. So I actually became an independent agent at that moment. And then in 2000, I started working from home when people were starting to do that. So that's the short story of it. But the long story could go on forever.
Well, first of all, there's a few things I want to circle back to. I mean, going straight vegan back, you said in 1983,
Mhm.
is very impressive because I mean, I've been vegan for 8.5 years. And at that point, it was much easier to become vegan. And it's even become easier because even in the eight and a like little over 8 years that I've been vegan, I've seen advancements where before I had to go to like a Whole Foods or some kind of a specialty health food store to get vegan cheese and ice cream. But now I can go into a mainstream store
Right.
find those things like as of like 3, 4 years ago. So I feel like a lot has happened in the past little over 8 years that I've been a vegan. And when I've talked to other vegans who've been, vegan for a really long time, like you hear about how it was much harder. So that's amazing dedication right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of these people, it's all or nothing. So I either have to do it the full way or nothing. I can't go in between. So that's why I couldn't go and just cut out meat and then cut out cheese or just become vegetarian and then become vegan. I just said, screw. My parents didn't know what to do with me. They
Hmm.
had no, they were like, What is this?" I mean, for years, I had a hard time with my family. They didn't know how to deal with it. And I do remember my father saying, my aunt was saying to my father, "Is this like a fad of hers or what is this?"
Hmm.
And he said, "No, it's real." And I was like, whoa, he actually said that, but they still couldn't deal with it. My brother-in-law had a hard time with my vegan food. I would, bring some vegan dish and nobody would eat it because they knew it was vegan.
Meanwhile, they would
You
eat it.
know?
They eat it's all food that they eat anyway, but the
Yeah,
moment
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
slap the label vegan on
yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
eat that.
Yeah, I've had to trick them a few times, with my husband bringing the food over saying he made it. Or something. Or we bought it from, he bought it. And so they, because he's vegetarian, he's working on being vegan at this point.
Hmm.
But, so yeah, they would eat it if he brought it in, not if I brought it in, but then when they saw me eat it, they're like, oh. Anyway, I have two nieces that are now vegan, so I'm now not the only one.
Oh, well,
There
that's
you
that's
go.
nice. I'm
Pressured off.
that's really I'm the only vegan in my family, and it took me 2 years to transition
Right,
because for me, like I'm remarried, my husband and I who's my second husband, we had a blended family, like our kids are now in college and out of the house. But when everyone was younger, I knew they wouldn't want to eat what I ate, and my husband wouldn't want to be vegan. And it started for me wanting to just eat healthier.
right,
I realized I had a sensitivity to dairy, and I did an experiment for 30 days just to see how I would feel
right,
being off of it. And I felt amazing. I realized dairy was making me feel like crap in ways I didn't even realize it was making me feel until I stopped
right,
consuming it.
right,
And during that time, I started looking up vegan recipes and finding a lot of vegan recipes. And I'm like, wow, this food looks more exciting than the food I make now. Right.
right,
I discovered all these like spices and a lot of ethnic cuisines from all over the world.
right,
And just amazing food. And my mom died of a heart attack in 2007, and I wanted to eat better because there with diabetes and heart disease in my family, I didn't want to, I had a high, risk of getting those things later on in life. So I discovered whole food plant-based and forks over knives. And so it started for the health. And then I started watching some of the documentaries and reading more about animal agriculture. And there's like something in my heart that really wanted to go vegan. But I was like, people are going to judge me. How are people going to judge me? I can't do that. And eventually I did find a way. I didn't care how people would judge me. And I found my voice. And you know what? I'm going to be vegan. My family doesn't have to do it with me, and I will find a way to make it work. But it took me two
right,
years to figure that out. But all of that inspired me to create the Confident Vegan and
right.
supporting people, right? So it's like kind of like you
That's
start
cool.
somewhere,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden you end up creating your own thing from that to help other people.
right. Well, I was, as I said, Ingrid Newkirk was my boss, and so she put the seed in my head, and I
Hmm.
just kind of would want to know more and read more things. I think the book that changed me was Peter Singer's Animal Liberation book, so it was all about the animals for me.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, what's his name who just passed away recently? John, uh, you know his name. The ice cream guy, the ice cream heir,
Oh yes.
passed away.
Oh my goodness.
He had a book that came out, and it also helped me get through all this crazy stuff with family and learn about it. And it made me confident that this is where I needed to be.
Yeah. Oh, John Robbins is that?
Thank you,
Yes,
John
I just
Robbins.
looked
And
it
he
up.
had he had plant. What was the book? It was anyway. It was his first book that came out. And in case anybody doesn't know about him, his father owned Baskin Robbins, which is a national ice cream store chain all over the country. In fact, they still have some, and I hear that they have a lot of vegan options in there now. But he just like broke away from his family, and he decided that the inheritance wasn't worth it,
Mm.
for all the environmental and animal cruelty going on. And believe that his father had a heart attack and then his father went vegan. And this was after they sold the business. And
Mhm.
he just passed away recently, and it's really a big loss in the vegan community. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I get angry at these young people who think they know more about vegan, or that they complain about going somewhere and there was no vegan options. And I'm like, yes, there are. You just have to look for them. And that's what we're probably going to talk about today, right? So, uh,
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're going to talk about that. And yeah, sometimes you have to be creative too.
you do all
Yeah, you have to
the
think
time.
outside the box, and but there's a way to do that. And before we do that, because we're going to talk about vegan travel and also more specifically like ethical travel, which can include
Right.
other aspects of travel.
Mhm.
So, can you share a little bit more about what ethical travel is?
Well, I mean, it depends on the person, but I feel that the it's travel that minimizes negative environmental and cultural impacts, and
Mhm.
it respects the local communities and supports sustainable practices. And my big thing, and yes, I will say this, I've gone on cruises, I've been in all inclusives, but there is a backlash to them. They don't support the local communities, and to me, that's a really big thing, and I would like to see that changed. You
Mhm.
know, I read in a ethical or an environmental travel book that the average person, now this is years ago, and I think it's probably changed a little bit, but the average person would spend about $200 a day if you were staying on the property, not in a all-inclusive, and that or a cruise line. The cruise lines averaged about $65 a day per person. And that's a big difference. A lot of the cruise lines, first off, the all-inclusives, you don't go off the property. So I mean, you might go off and do an excursion here and there, but you're living there, you're eating there, everything is right there. There's stores in there. So there's no need for you to go anywhere else, which really kind of stinks. Um, and I wish they would stop that. I wish they would do more tours, off the property, but I haven't seen that really happen yet. And the cruise lines, they actually hire vendors, specific vendors. So like when you get off the cruise line, you'll see all these stores, but
Mhm.
they're operated or they're in contract with certain vendors with the cruise lines.
Mhm.
So it's really not supporting the island or the country that you're going to. Um, and I would like to see that change because there is a need for cruises. As I mean, people really think that cruise lines are a big polluter, which it is true, but it is changing. I know that Virgin, that's the only cruise line I'll go on, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
uh, Richard Branson is constantly trying to figure out new ways to change the way the cruise ships run. So, but they will tell you, they're very transparent about it. It's not environmentally sustainable right now. Um, so again, I would like to see these companies change their ways of thinking and think outside the box and do something that would work for everyone. But I haven't seen a lot of progress with that just yet.
Well, hopefully things will change. I mean, we've seen a lot of progress in the vegan movement.
Hmm.
So, you know, as as you mentioned, Virgin has implemented some changes. Maybe others will follow at some point.
Yeah, believe it or not, I think Disney was the highest rated environmental cruise line,
Oh,
Disney
okay.
Cruises. So there is some hope. But yeah. Um, the other thing is with ethical travel, I don't put anybody into a hotel or resort that has animals in the places. Like you'll see the parrots in there, like,
Hmm.
um, and in cages, or you'll see. I saw like the flamingos. I was on an island. I was in Honduras, I think, on one of the on a cruise ship, on the Virgin cruise ship. Sorry, and we just got off on one of these islands, and there was these flamingos at this resort. I didn't know that they were real because they're kind of wild looking, but they were real, and it just it's not ethical to do that, and it's also not ethical to be swimming with the dolphins or anything like that. Um, if they're keeping them in captivity. There are wilds, you can do some charter boats and do a wild dolphin swim where they come to you, which is
Hmm.
more ethical, but I'm even reading that that's not as clean as it should be either because it's giving them diseases and so on. So you just have to do a lot of research before you book something like that. There is an island in the Bahamas, and a lot of people like doing this. I don't know why, but it's swimming with the pigs. Have you heard about this? They
No, I
have they
haven't.
have they have these pigs on this island in the Bahamas, and the majority of them are babies because that's what everyone wants to see is the babies, and then the adult ones are killed or whatever. They supposedly take care of them, but these pigs are getting sunburned, they're starving, so that's why they come up to people because they know that the tourists are going to give them food. People have gotten bitten because of these, piglets. It's really just, you really have to be careful. It sounds like a great idea because they're running on the island. You think that they're wild and that they're having a great time. They're not. You have to wonder where the parents are, and so yeah, I can send you a link so you guys can read that.
Yeah, and I do, and I'm gonna at the end, I'll when I post this video, our interview, I'm gonna include any links you share with me. So yeah,
Okay,
any information, I'll put it in the notes below this video.
great.
Um, that's just horrific hearing about that and how animals are used as props. Did you hear about the story recently? It's been all over social media about a touch tank where there was an octopus and this boy touched it was petting the octopus and it attacked his arm.
Yes, I did see that. Where was that?
Um, I forgot where it was. I'm gonna look it
I
up
thought it
right.
was he owned the octopus or something.
No, it was in it, and it was actually in an aquarium. Um, And let's see, it was in, I'm going to tell you right now, it was in a Texas aquarium. And so there's like a big back and forth right now. So the mom posted it all over social media how, he didn't do anything wrong. It was a touch tank. Meanwhile, why are we putting these animals? Can you imagine being in a tank so people can pet you? Like a human being wouldn't like that, right?
Right, right.
Right? So it's like this octopuses, they're very
Octopus.
smart, right? They're
Yes, they
very
are.
smart creatures. They
Yes,
have feelings. They're not just some toy like the
right.
baby pigs. And so the aquarium is saying that he shouldn't have leaned over like he did. But you know what?
They're
We
both
shouldn't be
at
having
fault.
touch tanks. We
They're
shouldn't be having touch
they're
tanks.
both at fault. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line. The mother should have known better, and the aquarium should not be doing this at all.
Yeah.
Period.
Exactly. Because I was thinking, what I've talked about with people is imagine you're a human, as a human, you're put in this like cage and people can just pet you all day,
Right.
right? You'd probably be sick of it after, the,
I would
100th
snap
person
too.
touching your
Yeah.
head, right? Like,
I would definitely snap as well.
yeah,
Yeah. So
exactly.
So yeah, things like that. I try and, in fact, today I had a non-vegan client who's been trying to figure out what she wants to do with her family next year. And she put in there, I'd like to do sledding with the dogs. And I told her, I'm not going to do that. And I don't suggest it. It's animal cruelty. She
Mhm.
turned around and said, you're right. It's
Wow.
animal cruelty. You're absolutely right. Dog sledding. That's another thing, You go to Alaska and you go to dog sleds. You visit the dogs that, and everyone's telling me, oh, well, they're taking great care there. No, they're not. You
Hmm.
don't see what's going on, unless you can see what's going on behind the doors all the time. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Usually not pretty.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like a lot of people will say, "Well, don't the dogs enjoy it? This is what they're bred for. This is what they're having fun, right?" Like, but again, like you were saying, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to
That you
these
don't
things
know. Yeah.
that you don't know, and we don't need to be doing these things, you
Right. I
know?
mean, you can exercise the dog outside, let them
Right.
run outside in the snow. They don't need to be pulling some, people to, 150, 200-pound person with all their stuff. They don't need to be doing that. And a lot of times when they're on the races, they'll leave some of the dogs behind because they're
Oh
sick
wow.
or whatever. I mean, I don't know if that's as much true as it was years ago, but that's how it was. They just didn't care.
And also like horse carriage rides. Just
Oh,
in New York
yes. I was
City.
going to bring that up.
Yep,
Yes.
this week, right?
Yep.
Earlier this week, there was a horse that died. And it's
Yeah.
not the first time that this has happened. And it
No,
always
it's not.
breaks my heart every time I see this image of this poor horse laying dead in the street because, it was being used in this manner. And we shouldn't be doing this. I
I
mean,
know.
New York City is a very crowded place.
I know, right? It's slowly not as popular, let's put it that way. And I am seeing on social media that people are getting more and more aggravated what's going on in New York and other cities. Because
Yeah.
it's not just New York, although New York is really well known for it, but there are other cities. I think Philly was one of them. But yeah, so yeah, they're not treated well. They're stacked in, they're housed in like buildings that are like 20 stories high. How do you
Mhm.
store? I mean, how do you deal with that? It's just, I mean, that's not how an animal should be living.
No.
Don't get me started.
I'm getting started with you.
My blood pressure is going up because it's,
Oh
yeah,
no. Maybe
no,
we should shift to something. Well,
no,
first of
no,
all,
that's okay.
thank you for touching on all these things because like you shared in your example with the dog sledding, right? People don't think about these things
I don't. Yeah.
until one of us annoying vegans, brings, brings it to their attention.
Right,
But that's not the first time. Like I recently did a blog challenge in July where I had to post a blog article every single day for the month of July. And I did an article about why do vegans not use honey? And you have to like comment on each other's blog posts to
yeah,
support each other during the challenge, the people who participated. And so someone had told me how they never thought about this. And they like, they're not vegan, but they never thought about why
right,
the problems with having honey, and
right,
it planted a seed. And so, maybe people won't change overnight, but by sharing the things that we share with people, we don't know what that ripple effect is going to be down the line because we just planted a seed of having them think about these things in a
right,
different way, which is really important. But yes,
right.
let's shift gears. You've done a lot of traveling. What are some of your favorite places to travel to as a vegan?
Well, I can start with, locally, I mean, in the States, I'm assuming everyone is from all over, right? They're not just in the
Have
States.
people all over the world
So,
watching.
I mean, I love going to New York just for the restaurants. I mean, there's a great vegan sushi place there. I need to go there. I haven't been in a couple of years. I need to know what's going on up there. Um, but yeah, I love going to New York and just eating and putting on weight. And that part I don't like, but
I was there last weekend. I live an hour and a half from New York City. So if
oh,
you ever want to
that's
meet up with me,
dangerous.
if you ever want to meet up with me in the city and just do a food tour of New York.
There's actually a woman who does vegan walking tours.
Really? How do I
Yeah,
not know about this?
Earhart. I'll put the link in there. I met her on one of our trips.
Oh.
Um, which I'll tell you about in a moment. So, New York, LA, I was in LA in last fall and I found a great vegan bakery. It was just fabulous. It was right down the street from my hotel, and that was really, really dangerous for me to go to. But that was really good. Internationally, I would say, oh, and of course, places like Portland, which I haven't been to yet. I know I'm a bad travel agent here, but I need to go. I need to go to Portland. I've been just, yeah. So, my favorite, probably in all of the international places, is Ireland. I've probably been like close to a dozen times now, and the first time we went, there was like nothing vegan. This was back in like the late 90s. I mean, I was lucky I could get a salad. That would be about it.
Mm.
Or pasta, but you didn't know if the pasta had eggs in it and all that. But each year that I went, I saw more progression, a little more progression each year. And I remember, I think it was like the third time we went, there was like a veggie burger, which was supposedly vegan. I was so excited. But Ireland has just really gone above, way and above everything. Like I went there in 2018 and there was Beyond Burger, not Beyond Burgers, but Burger King's or Wendy's, one of those fast food places. They all had vegan burgers. They didn't have them here in the fast food chains yet, but they are every restaurant there had something vegan, and if they didn't, we would just walk out. There was one restaurant that didn't have a vegan option, and we are like, okay, see you later. But all the restaurants in there had vegan options. I mean, it's
Wow.
just especially in the cities. Now it is harder when you get out of the cities, but it's still very doable.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stay at a bed and breakfast, I'm not talking about Airbnbs, which that's a whole, we can talk about that another time. But I'm talking about bed and breakfasts where the owners make breakfast for you and sometimes they'll make dinner for you. The first time I went to Ireland, there was a B&B that we stayed at, and the chef was, I mean, the owner of the B&B was fabulous with the cooking of the breakfast, making everything vegan for me, and that was really great. Um, and I think that a lot of bed and breakfast people like that challenge of doing something different than hash browns and eggs and bacon. They really like to do something different. And I've always had great options whenever I've stayed at B&Bs, but I do check them out ahead of time to make sure that they
Mm-hmm.
can accommodate us for my clients or myself. Um, my second place, I would say, would be Kenya. And I went there in 2000. I need to go back. I was supposed to go back last year and things happened. But Kenya is just by nature very vegan friendly. They have a huge Indian population there. So vegan is very easily done there without a problem. And I remember I was on a travel agent trip. It was a work trip. And I remember asking the tour operator to make sure that I'm vegan because I had gone to South Africa and there was nothing there and I lost weight and that's a whole nother story. It's changed too as well. But so they're like, yeah, we'll make sure that you have vegan, you'll have a vegan dinner or lunch or whatever. Every hotel I went to, I saw a vegetarian table. It was a whole vegetarian table, and they had all these vegan options. So I'd be like going over there and getting my dinner or lunch or whatever it was, and I was happy. And then they would come over with a plate of vegan food for me. So I ended up putting on weight in Kenya, and I know it's only gotten better. So I would say um, there's two other places that I will recommend.
Okay.
Belize is very similar to Kenya. They have a large Indian population. In fact, I had the best, again, this is going back 30 years, so I need to go back there. But they had the best curry tofu that I've ever had in my life at this one restaurant.
Mm.
So, and again, I think it's gotten even easier since I went there. It was not a problem at all. And plus, you had a lot of fresh veggies because it's very Caribbean. Um, and it was very, very easy, and the people were very sweet there. That's the other thing about Ireland. I love the people. They're the best, and I even met some vegan Irish people while I was over there.
Nice.
The last one that I'm saving was kind of a surprise. I think it was 2022. Yeah, 2022. I was approached by the tourist board. A lot of times, the tourist boards will put on work trips for travel agents and maybe tour operators. Um, and they approached me because of the person who does the vegan walking trips in New York was
Oh,
approached.
okay.
Verena, um, and she told them about me, and they approached me and saying, we're really trying to make South Korea more vegan, more vegan friendly. I thought, okay. And the woman at the tourist board said, we're inviting all vegan travel agents and or certain vegan travel agents, ones who have been around for a while and that are well known, and also tour operators and some influencers. So that was an awesome trip. I mean, they really have changed a lot even since then. They were predicting that by now, so it's 2022, actually in about 2 years from now, that they will be heavily vegan friendly. We
Wow.
didn't have any problems in the cities. It was more difficult in the outskirts. And I will say that there are things that you and I were just talking about, like octopi in tanks, in the markets where they were selling them. And it broke my heart. I couldn't go into the markets. I don't recommend vegans or animal rights people to go in there because it's really heartbreaking. And yes, there is dog meat, but they're going to ban it starting, I think, this year or next year. I'd have to look it up. You might want to do
Wow.
a quick check on it. So they are getting rid of all that. They're trying to straighten their act up. And I would highly recommend them, especially staying at one of the temples, because temple
Mm.
food is by nature vegan,
Yeah.
which I didn't know, you know. So, yeah, I really took a liking to South Korea. So,
Those all sound like really great places. The only country I've been to is Canada. So
what? We gotta get you out.
I gotta get out. My husband and I, we celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary in February. And we didn't do anything big when we got married and our kids were younger. So now we're like empty nesters and we're like, let's go someplace warm. So we flew to Hawaii. We went to Oahu for a week and that was very vegan friendly. There was a lot of great vegan play. In fact, there was a vegan food truck that was a 5-minute walk from our hotel.
Yeah.
And my husband, who's not vegan, he loved it so much. We ate there like 3 nights.
Oh, that's
It was
awesome. I
so
love that
good. We
when
were
that
all like
happens.
craving it. And
Yeah.
like my husband, he's very supportive and he will eat vegan things, but if there's a non-vegan option, he'll go for that. But he loved it so much too.
Oh,
He want
that's
he
awesome.
wanted
That's
to go
great.
back. So yeah, Earth Aloha Eats. They have a cafe and they have a food truck in Oahu. And there's some other really great places. Um, I'll include the link in the notes below this video. I did do a video on my channel of like all the different things we did in our Oahu adventure. We did a lot of hiking and stuff, but yeah, Hawaii is also very vegan friendly.
Yes, it is. Gentle World is out there, so that's something to look into. It's like a
Oh,
kind of a commune place, but yeah. In fact, Dr. Clapper was a
oh,
part of that for a while. So,
nice.
yeah, I need to go to Hawaii. I haven't been, believe it or not, as a travel agent. We were talking about it the other day because we have an old neighbor that lives there now, so we have a place to stay. Just got
Oh,
to get
nice.
there. It's a long trek.
It is. We flew like we stayed with my sister-in-law lives in Brooklyn, so we stayed with her and then we flew from JFK because we didn't want to drive 2 hours at like
Right,
3 a.m. to
right.
get to JFK airport. So yeah, it was like almost 11-hour flight straight, but it was
Yeah.
really nice.
I used to have people that would go to Hawaii, and what they would do either on the way over or on the way back, they would stop in LA and stay a night or two. or
Yeah,
stop in San Francisco and stay a night or two. That's another city. San Francisco is fabulous.
I feel like going back, I would do something like that. But yeah, I would love to do more travel. Now that I'm in a different place in life,
Empty nesters, time to travel.
time to travel, exactly. So we started with Hawaii and we'll see where else we go. But I'm going to mention your other recommendations here because hey, it's vegan friendly and he'll go wherever as long as it's interesting. So
Yeah. There was, San Francisco's, as you know, is very vegan friendly. And when I used to go there, there was a restaurant. It's no longer I don't know if it's still open or not, but I know it moved from San Francisco to Oakland, I think.
Oh, okay.
It was called the Millennium. And
Mhm.
I would stay, it was inside a hotel. So I would actually go stay at that hotel so I could get up in the middle of the night and get their chocolate mousse, their vegan chocolate mousse.
Mhm. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, I've had to cut back on that kind of stuff, but yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's hard. That's the thing, right? People feel like vegans are deprived. We're not. Like
Not
it's like again, New York City. I was just there on Saturday with my husband. We were just walking around. We haven't been in a while, and yeah, there's like all kinds of great food there. So,
right.
um, before we wrap up, I feel like I could talk to you all day about just everything. Uh, what are some tips that you could share with people who want to start traveling more ethically?
Well, do you want me to give you some resources to work with or?
Sure. Resources, tips, anything that would be helpful
Okay.
for anybody who wants to.
First off, I'm not promoting myself, but I'm promoting travel agents. I do recommend. Back when I started, there was no vegan travel agents. I was it for many, many, many years. And then like starting around 2000, 2010, maybe, I started seeing a lot of vegan travel agents come out there. So, if you can align yourself with a travel agent, somebody who knows about vegan, maybe they're not vegan, but they understand it.
Hmm.
I would support the local company and not go to places. I won't name names because I don't want you to
Yeah.
get in trouble. But don't go to the big box stores, that think they know everything about travel and they don't really have the service. Um, that would be the first thing I would start with, and do your research ahead of time.
Hmm.
Make sure that, well, this is what the travel agent should be doing, is make sure that you don't get people don't think about feather pillows or
Oh.
feather or wool blankets. Um, so that's where I would come in, or, if you're doing it on your own, you need to contact the hotel, make sure that they don't have, make sure that they'll have a vegan option for you. At the very least, have soy milk with your coffee. That's
Hmm.
the minimum. That's pretty minimum.
Yeah.
And make sure that they would give you an alternate. There's a lot of alternative um, pillows that don't have feathers in them. And same thing with the blankets. You can tell them you're allergic, but just tell them you're vegan. That way they learn a little bit more about it, and tell them that you don't feel comfortable with vegan pillow. I mean, with feather pillows or feather blankets or even wool blankets. Wool makes me itchy anyway, so I've always asked for that. Um, there are a lot of websites out there like Happy Cow, which I was going to
Hmm.
talk a little bit about. So if you're doing your own research, you can look up the state or the country that you're going to and the city that you're going to, and they'll tell you if they have vegan restaurants there, or if there's some vegan options, or if they're vegetarian restaurants. They have a whole list of things. I highly recommend using them. If you're on social media, there are a lot of vegan travel groups, and for different countries. Like I belong to a couple of them. I belong to Vegan Ireland and Vegan South Korea, and you can ask them questions. A lot of those
Hmm.
people live there or they've gone there many times. So that's another good tip to use. As far as airlines, I don't expect an airline to give me vegan food anymore. I just don't. I always ask for it and I'm always disappointed. So I will either eat at the airport or I'll bring some snacks with me. Depends on how long the flight is as well.
Yeah.
Um, and if we're lucky, we'll get a good vegan dinner. Do you remember Continental Airlines?
I remember Condon. I've heard,
They're
yes, I
kind of
remember
long
hearing
gone.
about them.
I remember they had a vegan cookie, and I was like, "Wow, I'm in heaven."
Wow.
You
That's
know,
impressive.
it was like in the 90s. I'm like, this is awesome, And then again, I went on Virgin Airlines back in the 90s, and I told them if you called the airlines back then, you had to call them for the special meals. And or you could put it in the computer, but if you really wanted to make sure, you call the airlines and make sure. And I asked them for a vegan meal for me, and my husband was vegetarian, so a vegetarian meal for him. I get on the plane, and mine said vegan on it, and I thought, oh, that's cool. And then um, it was the same meal as my husband's. It was vegetarian. It wasn't vegan the whole way through, going and coming back. So they didn't get it. But yeah, the flight attendants they did the best they could. That is one thing I will tell you. When you get on the website, make sure that you have vegan meals on there.
Hmm.
In fact, thank you for reminding me. I'm going to Poland
Oh, wow.
next month, and so when you go on the website, go on to and ask for the special meal. Tell them VGML is vegan. And then when you get to the airport and you're checking in, make sure with the gate agent that they have vegan meals. And then I'm just one of these annoying people, vegans, I'll
You
ask,
have to be annoying.
yeah, and then I'll ask the flight attendant, I'm vegan and I'm sitting in this seat, and they're usually pretty good about it. So
That's
those
good.
those are those are just some of my tips.
You know, I didn't even think about like the blankets and pillows. Like, I mean, the places that I've stayed at, I know definitely didn't have wool blankets, but like you said, they're itchy. I don't think most people want those
Right,
anyway. But
right,
yeah, pillows. Like, I didn't even think about that, right? Like,
right.
because those are important things to consider. And yeah, on the when I flew to Hawaii, they had a veggie lo mein. They had that the option that was a that was
Right,
available. And but like it had like some side stuff. Like it had
right,
fruit, but then there was like cheese and like other little
right,
things. So I had to like I just there was just certain things I just handed over to my husband and
right,
but I had the fruit and it was also just kind of really salty, so I didn't want to eat too much of it. I had like half
right.
of it. So one of the things that I've been doing more is packing up things. Like I have like those little bento box containers,
Yeah.
and I'll make
Yeah.
myself like a chickpea salad wrap or
Right,
something,
right,
and just an ice pack and bring it with me, because the times that I don't do that, I always regret it. Like once I get to my destination, I can find food, but it's the
right.
traveling to the
It's
destination.
traveling to the destination, and going to South Korea was not fun, but there were a bunch of vegans on the plane,
Oh,
so
wow.
they didn't have much of a choice. They actually did pretty well. So as far as, like the social media, I run a group called the Vegan Travel Summit.
Mm,
We used to do a summit every year. We're not sure where it's going any longer, but I'm keeping that site up, and it's more for educational purposes because you'll go on a lot of these groups and there'll be people recommending, restaurants or places to stay, but then you have a lot of hotels that are pushing their stuff. And I'm more about education than
hmm.
promoting my company, which I do elsewhere. But again, there's vegan Alaska groups, there's vegan South Korea groups. You can always tap into those groups and find out what's new and what's, happening in those areas. Um, I do have a vegan trip to Poland coming up in September.
Oh,
And I'm excited about that because that's part of my family history. It's a small group of like 8 of us. And then we do have a Virgin Voyage crew group next year for my 70th birthday.
oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Awesome. Happy
yeah.
early birthday.
gonna be old. I'm gonna be really old.
I would have never thought you were 70.
I'm not yet, so thank you. I'm not. Um, and I can give you some resources to go to, like the Vegan Rebel Travel Series by London Todd. There's a book called Overbooked that I listened to on Audible, and it's old, but it's still very it's still valuable today, because over tourism is another big thing, which you and I can do another segment on that. It's a big
Yeah.
thing right now. The author is Elizabeth Becker. I think you can get it on Amazon. And then there's, podcasts like World Vegan Travel does a Bridie Reed does a vegan podcast every week, which is
Oh, wow.
fabulous. So she has tour operators and travel agents and so on about that. And again, Happy Cow. And then there's some YouTube channels like the Nomadic Vegan. I'm not sure what she's doing these days, if she's updated anything, but the World Vegan Travel Summit, we also we have a lot on the YouTube as well from our
Mhm.
summit that you can watch. So there was a woman named Will Travel. It was a organization or a company called Will Travel for Vegan Food. She blogged a lot. So there's a lot of things you can look into and tap into. But yeah,
Great. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. And yeah, if you want to email me those links and then I'll
yes,
just paste them into the notes below this video. And yeah, I would love to have you come back and talk about other aspects of vegan travel because I feel like there's a lot of things we could talk about in the future. So yeah, would love to have you back. And yeah, thank you again. Oh, was
thank
there anything
you.
else you wanted to share before we wrap up?
You can, if you want to reach me, my website is greenearthtravel.com. My email is info@greenearthtravel.com. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on all the socials. I'm not on X, but and I just started getting onto TikTok, which I'm not sure if that's going to work or not, but I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. That's all you need.
Great. And I'll also put all those links in the notes below so you can
Great.
connect with Donna really easily. Yeah, well, thanks for joining me. I really enjoyed this conversation and would love to have you back another time. And I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Bye.